The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, this is Helen Dion. I am Marketing Manager for SWK Technologies. I'd like to welcome you to our Acumatica for Construction Lunch and Learn. A little housekeeping before we get started. Everyone has been placed on mute to keep the background noise down. However, you can submit a question throughout the presentation. To submit a question, look for the Questions tab on your GoToWebinar window. We will be answering questions throughout the webinar. Also, we are recording the presentation and it will be distributed tomorrow to all attendees, as well as anyone who registered but was unable to attend. And then lastly, we have included 2 handouts that you can download from your GoToWebinar pod under the Handouts section. So we have our Connected Construction White Paper. This gives you additional insight on how Acumatica eliminates silos, improves collaboration, and increases project success. We also have our Acumatica COVID-19 checklist for contractors. This will help you develop a plan of action to keep your job site and back office teams safe and productive during this pandemic. So with that said, I hope you are all enjoying your Grubhub lunches or brunches, depending on your time zone. And we truly appreciate your time out of your busy day to attend our Lunch and Learn. Some of you know a little bit about Acumatica already, and some of you are here to start your discovery. In any case, we're here to help you get a better understanding of this cloud ERP and get to know SWK Technologies as well. Please don't hesitate to ask any questions throughout, as we do have subject matter experts with us today, Mike Duberstein. So with that said, I'm going to hand it off to you, Mike.
Thanks so much, Helen. Well, everyone, welcome to our Lunch and Learn today. I'm really excited to tell you all about who Acumatica is and what they're all about, and also to jump into the product a little bit and give you a small taste of what it can do. First, just a little bit about me, though. As Helen said, my name is Mike Duberstein, and I'm a solutions architect here at SWK. I came from the construction industry, working in a variety of roles across 2 different companies before I came to SWK. I've seen the way ERP can impact the way a company does business, both from a positive and negative aspect. And I recognize how important it is to get the right solution for your company in place. I hope everyone is able to come away with something valuable from our time here today. So on the agenda for today, we're going to be starting by just talking a little bit about who SWK Technology is. After that, I'll do an overview of Acumatica and who they are. And right after that, we'll jump on into the product for the main event. Additionally, we've saved a little bit of time for Q&A at the end, but as the presentation unfolds, feel free to ask any questions you might have in the chat, because I'll also try and answer those questions as we go along. So SWK Technologies is under our parent company, Silversun Technologies, which is a publicly held company that trades on NASDAQ under the ticker SSNT. We have multiple divisions as a value-added reseller, and SWK is our ERP division, which is where I am, and that's also where our Acumatica practice is over here. Secure Cloud Solutions is our hosting company. We host a lot of legacy solutions there, but we also host folks who decide to go with a private cloud solution for Acumatica, which, as we'll see, Acumatica allows as an option. And we also have a cybersecurity division. SWK's headquarters is in North New Jersey in East Hanover, and we have offices from coast to coast. A lot of our workforce is remote, including myself. I am based in beautiful Portland, Maine, and a few of the locations that we have offices in are listed here. Besides New Jersey, we also have offices in Chicago, North Carolina, California, New York, Texas, Arizona, Washington, and Oregon. This means that we have a good portion of the country covered. We have about 200 professionals and over 6,000 customers across all of the ERP products that we offer. As we transition into talking about Acumatica, I thought it'd be beneficial to take a second to recap the Acumatica Summit that happened this past February. Acumatica hosts a summit every single year, and this past year it was in the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas. I'll tell you, I got to know that casino like the back of my hand. It was a great event, and it was the largest summit that Acumatica's had to date, and it's getting bigger each year. All the partners are out there and a good number of their customers. It's really an excellent opportunity for expanding your network and learning what's coming around the bend from Acumatica. They have several great keynotes that always show their most exciting features and upcoming releases, and they have really useful breakout sessions as well as offering training later in the week for a nominal fee. Additionally, many ISVs or third-party product vendors that integrate with Acumatica come to the summit to showcase what their products can do. As you can see here in the bottom right, they also throw a pretty big party. One of the highlights for us at SWK was being awarded Partner of the Year for the second year in a row. Acumatica has about 300 partners that sell and implement Acumatica globally, and it's a real honor that we've been named Partner of the Year twice. That's what's happening up here, and you can see me here hiding in the very back. Acumatica actually just announced that due to the pandemic, they're pushing next year's summit to May. So once again, it's going to be in Vegas, and I hope to see some of you guys there. Acumatica is all about digital transformation. More than an ERP, Acumatica is a technology platform that helps you digitally transform your business. It's much more than a financial platform or a construction management platform even. It's truly a platform that will help your business adapt to our increasingly digital environment. So the best path for transforming your business to thrive in the new digital economy is to utilize software solutions that were built with this new digital economy in mind. And that's really what Acumatica is. Being a platform is actually one of the key things that separates Acumatica from other ERP solutions. In fact, when you ask Acumatica what type of company they are, they're going to say that they're a technology company. And this is really evident with the events that they put on, because they're always highlighting their latest and greatest technology. One feature we won't have time to show in today's demo, but it's worth noting, is that they've inserted machine learning into Acumatica in this latest release of the first one of 2020. This comes into play in expense management, for instance, where you can simply take a picture of a receipt for a reimbursement, and the system's smart enough to begin filling out that record in Acumatica for you, which is crazy stuff. And much more of that coming around the bend. Okay, Acumatica is without question the best solution for digitally minded companies. All of these bullet points are important, but I wanted to pick out three to touch on just a little bit more. Connected business is a crucial one. In today's construction landscape, especially now more than ever, we find a lot of companies utilizing third-party solutions to solve for their problems. But a lot of times there's no integration to their accounting system, or their integration isn't very good, and those solutions and systems just aren't talking to each other. So a lot of that information has to be entered manually, which really increases the amount of time that it takes and the effort that it takes to run your business on a day-to-day basis. Now, Acumatica brings all of these features under one roof, so you can manage all parts of your business in this one software. That's a game changer. Rapid integrations is another thing I really wanted to point out. And where that comes into play is that if you have a niche-specific need that out-of-the-box Acumatica doesn't naturally support, for instance, let's say maybe property management, there are a number of ISV solutions out there that can meet your needs because they're partnered, and because they're partnered with Acumatica, that means that the turnaround time from purchasing a solution to having it up and running and working for you will be relatively short. The last one here I wanted to point out is future-proof, and I mean this in two senses. One, because Acumatica is a platform, they're constantly on the cutting edge, adding exciting technology and further developing their product. In fact, around 70% of their employees are focused on development. That means that you aren't in danger of buying a product that works great now, but in 8 years you're left in the dust by far superior technology. They're always going to be keeping up and adding exciting stuff to their product. Additionally, the second part of this is that with unexpected circumstances that have led to a lot of us working remotely that weren't working remotely before, Acumatica is easily able to cope with that need. And that's really ties in with the remote collaboration as well. So I said 3, gave you 3.5, maybe 4. Here's just a couple of comments from Acumatica customers that have felt a positive impact from Acumatica in light of the pandemic. So up here we have Alex Craster, who says, I'm really thankful that we have Acumatica in place right now. If we'd still been operating from the old platform, we would have had some significant challenges with people working from home and staying connected. Keep up the good work. And then also down here, Derek says, Power Storage Solutions is not missing a beat thanks to our decision to go with Acumatica. So between these two and the other comments that are here on the screen, Acumatica has really helped people deal with the unexpected. And I mean, and even in this instance, Power Storage Solutions, they say they didn't miss a beat, which is amazing. And if they were on their old platform up here in Craster, there would have been some really significant challenges. So Acumatica has been able to help in this challenging environment, and we'll be able to help moving forward as well. Beyond being a product for construction, Acumatica also has financial management, inventory management, and payroll, among other things. As I mentioned before, this is all under one roof, so no need to buy an accounting software that tack on all these additional solutions to try and meet your needs. For project accounting, if you remember Solomon software, which is a legacy product that some people still use, even though it's a little older, one of the founders of Acumatica actually came from Solomon. So that's where Acumatica gets its project management or its job costing roots from. It's really strong in project accounting, as we'll see just a little bit later. There's also a CRM suite that's native to Acumatica as well. As for payroll, this last release was actually when payroll became native to Acumatica. At SWK, we have a variety of HCM and payroll solutions, so that can no doubt meet any need in those areas that you might have. And we have a guy named Nathan who's really a subject matter expert in those areas that I'd be more than happy to connect any of you with if you have any questions around payroll or HCM. Acumatica has a number of editions, including a distribution edition, a manufacturing edition, an e-commerce edition, as well as others. Today, however, we're actually going to be focusing on their construction edition. Their construction edition meets the requirements that are standard to the construction industry, but it also has the ability to talk with any other module you might need. We've run into companies that need construction functionality, but also need manufacturing capability. Acumatica is really the only solution that's out there that's built for companies that have complex needs like that. You're not really going to find any other solution that's going to accommodate those types of cross-modular needs. And we'll talk about that just a little bit later. In fact, a company I used to work for before I came to SWK is a construction company, but they also have a service division, and they're now happily on Acumatica because Acumatica didn't make them sacrifice the construction part of their business for the field service part or the field service part for the construction part. So they're humming along and loving life. The beauty of the construction edition is that it can handle everything right from within Acumatica. This means increased visibility for you and your customer and allows you to center everything around your customer. So Acumatica invests about 60 or 70% of their revenue back into their product. Their code base actually doubles about every 2.5 years, which is staggering. And they've done that in a really sustainable and stable way. And I think that shows in a very unique way how much they continue to enhance their platform. This is really truly unlike any other mid-market ERP because of their framework. Now, looking at their technology stack, their core is actually Microsoft SQL as the database. And if you go with the public cloud option, that's actually AWS or Amazon Web Services. They also use common developmental tools and languages, which really helps if you decide to do customizations yourself or integrations to Acumatica. Their goal was really to pick common tools that already exist, that people already know, to enhance comfortability with the platform even for new users. And the way that has played out is that it's really a very user-friendly and intuitive product. So that's the baseline of all of it, but then there's the XRP platform, which includes document management, which is as simple as dragging and dropping your documents into the system, user security and management, where you can lock down user roles so that they only see what you want them to see, the ability to have multi-tenants, a mobile framework that's real time and that's the same exact system that you're working off of on a computer, the ability to have custom workflows and APIs and approvals, and then a very intuitive customization framework. I'm not a technical person really, and I've even hopped in and done light customizations, and so that shows how easy it can be to work with. Cross-browser support, you can be in it from Google Chrome, which I often use, but Microsoft Edge or even Microsoft Internet Explorer if you really like old school stuff. And then Analytics, we'll talk a little bit more about that once we get into the product. I'll show you some dashboards, but all of this is built on top of this, and then what it results in is the user interface, which is up here in all of these modules. So, you know, we have people buy the construction edition or, you know, any other base product, knowing that later they could easily add any of these other modules to meet their needs. And this is an excellent strategy. It keeps your employees from having to learn a new interface. Like, for instance, say that you are a construction company that has inventory needs, but you want to eventually start doing warehouse management, but you're not doing that today. What we've had people do is buy the construction package with the inventory, get all that up and running, and then later on, knowing that you're able to add on warehouse management, which includes like barcode scanning and things of that nature. It's way easier to not have to learn a new business process in the middle of an implementation. So we've had people do that with success in the past. Okay. So cross-modular connections, which is what I was alluding to earlier. During our demos, one thing we really try to show is how all of our modules are cross-connected. This is important because we talk with folks today that aren't using Acumatica, and it isn't uncommon for us to find that they have 2 or 3 silos of data. For instance, maybe accounting, CRM, and project management. None of their systems talk to one another, and any data that is needed for transfer has to be input manually. We solve for this in Acumatica, and in each implementation, we strive to set up connected cross-modular workflows. So for instance, if I have CRM and I want to build out an estimate, I can do it right from the CRM. Then, once the estimate is approved, I can click a button and have that estimate become a project. Simple as that, but not so simple if CRM isn't connected to your estimating software, which isn't integrated to your accounting software. That's just one example of a cross-connected modular or a connected cross-modular workflow, but really the options are abundant. Here you can see that Acumatica has been highly awarded by independent organizations. Nucleus Research is a vendor-neutral organization that rates different ERP solutions, and you can easily find this value matrix on the web. Actually, for 2 years running, Acumatica has been awarded the most usable ERP in the mid-market space. This is because it's a very intuitive software that allows for configuration based on user preferences. Having worked on 4 different ERPs before I got into Acumatica, I could personally attest to this. On the right here, we have a matrix from Infotech which shows what they are calling the emotional footprint. This essentially tells us how likely existing customers are to recommend the solution that they're using to a family member's business or a friend's business. Acumatica ranks extremely high in this matrix and comes in far ahead of other mid-market providers that are out there. Acumatica has received other accolades as well, including the Cody Awards, which is kind of like the Oscars or Golden Globes of the ERP space, only not quite as highly televised. I don't think Ricky Gervais has hosted the Cody Awards yet or anything like that. Maybe in 2021. It was also the PC Magazine Editor's Choice and actually has been 4 years in a row now. Gartner and G2 Crowd have also rated Acumatica high in usability. And I think you guys will see what all the usability hype is about when we get into the demo here in just a little bit. At the summit, Acumatica announced that they've surpassed 6,500 customers worldwide. This is a really important stat for Acumatica, as it is for us, but it's also an important stat for you as the customer. It means that you aren't in an experimental realm, and this is a product that's established and tried and true, and this number continues to rapidly grow. Acumatica has a really strong commitment to customer success. They have an interactive feedback site that they closely monitor that other customers are able to upvote ideas on. I actually have a couple of ideas posted there, and 2 of them are in the gathering feedback stage. So when you make suggestions or make requests of Acumatica, unlike some other ERP solutions, you don't make those suggestions into a black hole. I know actually the company that I used to work for that's on Acumatica now put a suggestion on that feedback site, and they shortlisted that to have that be implemented in an upcoming release. So really exciting stuff. It's a pretty intensive process getting certified to be able to sell and implement Acumatica, and that's really because they prioritize their customers and want the partners to be able to make their customers happy on their platform. Acumatica has a 33 Net Promoter Score, and this is really an impressive number to me. They're 97% support satisfaction, and they're also the fastest growing ERP company, which means that as a customer, you're in a good position to be able to grow with them. So when an ERP company takes their product to market, they have a couple of deployment options. They can either try and host it themselves, or they can partner with folks that do that the best. So a couple of years back, Acumatica made the strategic decision to partner with Amazon AWS for their hosting. So when you buy the Acumatica SaaS, which about 90% of our customers do these days, it includes hosting. So within a day of purchasing, you're actually given a URL and access to your environment. Acumatica handles the upgrades as well, and the only part the customer has in the upgrade process is testing, especially when customizations are present. Backup and disaster recovery are also included, which are the benefits of being on AWS. The trailing uptime percentage the last 4 months is something like 99.49%. It's very stable. Acumatica was also one of the first products on Microsoft Azure, and it supports the 365 and Power BI integration. As you explore Acumatica, you're going to see that there's a really tight integration between Acumatica and the Microsoft technology under the hood, including exporting to and importing from Excel, sending Outlook email right from the platform, integration with Power BI, and more. There's really nothing to set up. Acumatica just works with these tools right out of the box. From a scalability standpoint, one of the metrics that that is tracked is what we call ERP transactions. Acumatica is currently processing 180 million ERP transactions per month. That is a tremendous amount of data that's being processed. This is really comforting because what it means is that no matter how much data you're processing as a company, it's really only a drop in the bucket of what Acumatica is processing as a platform. So you can rest assured that no matter what your transactional volume is, Acumatica can handle it. A key part of Acumatica's architecture is how open it is, which allows for other systems to integrate rapidly. These integrations are additional tools that dive deep into specific functionality, like those niches or niches that I was mentioning earlier. And there's some really exciting options that are available here. One that I like a lot specifically for construction is ProEst, which is an out-of-this-world estimating and bidding solution that's built for the construction industry. The integrations listed here are bidirectional, which means that information can originate from either source and be automatically shared to the other. A few that are worth highlighting here are DocuSign, which can be used for sending subcontracts and things of that nature, and also Procore, which is a super deluxe project management software. No doubt most of you on the call have heard of Procore. One that isn't listed here, that isn't necessarily specifically for the construction industry, but there is some overlap into the industry, is Salesforce, which is the really popular CRM that a lot of folks are already using when they come to Acumatica. Well, guess what? If you like it, you can keep it. There are plenty more ISV options to browse besides the ones that I've mentioned, and certainly there is an option out there that will meet your needs no matter how specific. Security is a hot topic these days, and Acumatica is unsurprisingly on top of it. They have the physical security of Amazon AWS data centers, but they also provide role-based user access so that you can the users only see what you want them to see, as well as providing multi-factor authentication logins for additional security. There are tons of reports available out of the box, and anything specific that you might need that hasn't been met in those reports, you can use the report designer tool to create that report. Now, I mentioned already that I'm no technical savant, but I was even able to get in the report designer and use it once I got used to it. The dashboards are also really easy to set up. And so with a little guidance, everyone in your company will likely be able to set up their own dashboards. We'll look at dashboards a little bit further as we get into the product. But for additional analytics and BI, there's an easy integration with BI, as we mentioned before, Microsoft Business Intelligence, but there also are other options like Tangerine and Velixo. And Velixo is a Excel-based reporting tool which allows you to write functions in Excel that query the Acumatica database. You can easily access Acumatica from anywhere, even from your phone on a beach in Thailand during a long-needed vacation after your ERP implementation. Just imagine that light breeze blowing through your hair, ruffling your Hawaiian shirt. Sorry guys, I'm back. I got lost there for a second. But you can check you could check Acumatica and how your company is doing even right from there. And also with natural language integration, you can now talk to your ERP as well. For instance, if you had any sort of inventory, you could ask Amazon Alexa how much of that particular item that you had in stock in your inventory, and she'd tell you. Pretty slick stuff. We have already talked a little bit about this slide and what AWS includes, but the private cloud is also available based on preference or need. If you already have your own private cloud, we can deploy there as well. And we actually also have a couple of customers that are deploying on premises. A huge differentiator between Acumatica and other solutions is the licensing model. Many other solutions can fine you by user, so you pay for your growth, even while your new user may not be fully functional in that solution. However, with Acumatica, what they do is they look at your monthly commercial transactions instead of your users. This means that we look at the number of AR invoices processed per month or AP invoices processed per month, whichever is higher, and have the pricing based off of that. And there's tiers essentially. And essentially what the implication of that is that you'll never pay more for Acumatica unless you've already started consuming more and you've already grown. This means that you can, as you give more employees access to Acumatica, you won't be paying any extra for it. Other solutions will make you pay for anticipated growth, but with Acumatica, you don't pay until the growth is realized through increased consumption and increased transactions. Now, this can allow you to get super creative with user roles. In the construction industry, this means that you could even set up like a subcontractor login or even an owner login. Imagine that, having the owner be able to log in and look at their invoices or look at like pared back job cost progress reports so that they can feel like they're connected to the project, or even give them a dashboard. And you can obviously hide all the data that you wouldn't want them to see and just give them access to what's pertinent to them. And guess what? You're not going to pay a dime more for that. And you wouldn't, even if you had like 1 million owners in the system, because you're probably going to have them in as read only, and they're not going to affect those transaction numbers. So you can get wildly creative with this in Acumatica, and really, as I mentioned earlier, center everything around your customer, which is the goal. So with Acumatica, your data is your own. A really important question to ask when evaluating ERPs is, if I ever choose to leave my ERP, what format will I get my data in? I've been involved in a few implementations back when I was working for a construction company. And I'll tell you, working with an ERP where your data is hard to access can be a nightmare for migration to your new solution. But with some solutions, you get flat files and spreadsheets. But with Acumatica, you get a full SQL database, and you have access to that database during the life of your subscription as well. Training is a really important part of implementation, and Acumatica does a great job of this. Along with the training that we at SWK provide, Acumatica also has an open university with tons of resources to help you advance in your knowledge of the platform. Excuse me. There are also lots of courses you can take and videos you can watch, and this comes at no additional cost to you. At the summit, they also offer training, as I mentioned before, and that comes at a nominal cost, but it's really good stuff. I took some training this past time, and it was well worth the time. Several years ago, Acumatica came out with a customer bill of rights that was intended to set the standard for how to treat customers in the ERP industry. You can find this easily on the web. A few points to highlight here are, again, the consumption-based licensing model that doesn't inhibit growth, which is pretty much a game changer, I think. But then also the commitment that Acumatica makes to never increase their annual licensing by more than 3% a year, which they're not gonna buy your business by giving you a very ridiculously low price and then jacking up the rate by 20% or 50% or however much it would be once you're already on the solution. So this commitment just gives you a security blanket, knowing that you're really not going to be charged more than you're initially paying, much more than you're initially paying to get into the system. The last one that I wanted to mention was support. happen here. Between Acumatica's support network and our own 12-person help desk here at SWK, you're thoroughly covered for support. Now, there were a lot of exciting features that came out of the first release in 2020. Acumatica does 2 big releases a year, and each time they're adding exciting and useful features. The first feature that I want to highlight from the first release of the year that impacts the construction industry is the payroll module, and we've discussed that, but that's a big thing for all you DIY payrollers out there. Payrolls is a pretty big deal in construction, and we find that a lot of folks like to keep payroll totally in-house. And that's fine. With this new release, this is no problem. For service management, which many companies in the construction industry use for scheduling, work orders, and dispatching, especially plumbers and electricians and other tradesmen, there is a really exciting new feature. In 2020, there is now a route optimization feature that allows you to let the system schedule your workers in the most efficient way imaginable. Imagine filling out an entire week's schedule in just a couple of clicks. Well, that fantasy has become reality with this new feature. And I'm not going to show it today, but essentially what happens is you have a list of potential appointments that you want your technicians to hit in a particular day. You select those appointments, and then you select the technicians, and you click optimize, and it essentially spits out those appointments onto the technicians in a pretty seamless way that allows them to optimize their route and get have a route that makes the most sense for them as a technician. It's really, really great stuff. So in construction specifically, daily field reports are now integrated with weather reports. So you can see down at the street level what the weather was and even what the weather is going to be, assuming that the weather report is accurate, you know, those meteorologists. But anyways, in the project management suite, Acumatica has at long last added submittals to their arsenal. I was a part of the test group that got a first look at submittals when it was still in development. So seeing it come to fruition is almost like witnessing your child being born. It was an emotional moment for me. These are just a few of the features that I'm really excited about from this release. But the full release notes are available on help.acumatica.com. And those notes are actually between 150 and 300 pages, which in full honesty, I haven't read. But I point this out to highlight the type of investment that's being made in the product by Acumatica. Okay, well now at long last, let's get into the product. So before I get into stuff that's specific for construction, I may need to log in actually because I've been idle. Bear with me for just a second. Okay, maybe I wasn't idle long enough there. I think it's about an hour, 45 minutes that they kick you out. So before we get on into the construction elements of what we're looking at here today, I just wanted to do a very brief overview of the navigation and user interface of Acumatica, just so you could see what it's all about. So the first thing is what we have here, and these are workspaces. So this is a menu that pretty much has everything from construction living right in here. So you can easily find specific things, like if you wanted to print subcontract forms, you just come to construction and find it here. And you can show and hide menu items so that you're only seeing the things that are pertinent to you, and you can go ahead and edit this very easily. Another thing that I think is a really cool feature, especially as you get used to the new product, is the ability to use the universal search. So I'm going to do bills, and you can see here that it's pulling up all the menu items with the word bills in the title. It'll also search through transactions, held topics, and files, and we can go into depth with that a little bit more in like a more in-depth demo that's tailored for your company in particular. But for now, let's just hop into bills and adjustments. Take a look. Okay, so one thing that's really wonderful about Acumatica is the ability for filtering. I can treat this just like it's Excel, and I can filter by, I'm just right-clicking on Bank of America here, and I'm going to filter by this L value. And it's going to show me all the transactions here that are associated with Bank of America. It's pretty easy to nail down exactly what you want to see. I can also, if I don't like the way that things are ordered, I can drag and drop the date and change it. Extend columns. It's just really user friendly. Like if you're familiar with Excel or Google Sheets, it won't take long for you to get used to and familiar with Acumatica and Acumatica's user interface. Okay. Sorry, so another thing that is really great here is the ability to create permanent filters that are tabs. So let's say, for instance, I want to look at bills that are greater than, let's say, greater than $10,000. I can save this and apply it. And now all of a sudden, I have all of my bills that are greater than $10,000 pulled up here. And I could have done multiple factor filtering if I wanted to as well. But now this is here. And I can always hop in between all records and greater than $10,000. And this will be here every time I log in. And it doesn't publish for every user, although you can share it in between users. But the good news is that knowing that if I go in here and create these filters and modify my own workspace, it's not going to be affecting someone else that doesn't need the same criteria or the same views that I have. So that is really, really big. Also able to sort easily. I just quickly click a sort ascending. And now I'm going to hop into one of these bills and just show you a couple other features before we get into the construction specific things. So a big thing here is the ability to attach files. Now I can go into files and I can browse and or upload using the mobile app. I can add links. But what's really easy for me is a lot of times, like, people just have like an open folder of things that they want to attach quickly. And so I'm going to drag a couple of things over here and attach these 3 things. And you can see they just added 3 files. So it's as simple as dragging and dropping files to associate them with a document. And that's really, really great, because I've been in other solutions where you have to upload things one at a time, and it can be very tedious. Another thing that's big is the ability to enter notes all over the system. I can enter it to the entire record here, a note, but I also can go in and enter it line by line. So if this particular bill was 10 lines long and I wanted to say, have a particular note about this, I could enter a note. Now all of a sudden, this is going to change colors, so it alerts whoever's viewing it that there's a note associated with this line. So just really helps with communication and makes it really convenient, very user-friendly. Okay, now that you have a little bit of a taste for the navigation and user interface, I'd love to move on to talking about dashboards a little bit here. So really what we find is that we have 2 big use types for dashboards. And one is the executive level, where you're really trying to get overviews and trends and things like that. And the other is dashboards that really help you manage day-to-day processes and tasks. Acumatica can do both. So we're going to start just by looking at a very executive looking one, the controller view. Not going to save this. And this is, as you can see, very few task related items, and it's much more trend related in terms of cash positions, top overdue balances, cash required in the next 60 days, things of that nature. So all of this is really easy to set up, and it isn't, you're not confined to using the ones that come out of the box here with Acumatica. You can, whatever you need to see to make financial decisions or make executive decisions in general, you're going to be able to do that with Acumatica. Now I'm going to look at one that's a kind of a hybrid in between executive and process, and that's the project overview dashboard. This is a really great dashboard, and so this is showing us a lot of inquiries. That's what these are. And you can have these inquiries by different criteria so that you see what you want to see. But another thing that's big is that we have the ability to embed job site cameras right here from right here in this dashboard or in any other dashboard. So if you utilize job site cameras like many construction companies often do, you could have a dashboard for all of the job site cameras for all of your projects, or maybe a dashboard for one particular project with your job site camera on there as well. Kind of looks like the day here is a little bit nicer than it is in Portland, Maine. Pretty overcast here today. But let me just show you while we're here the types of widgets that we can add. So we can add wiki pages, and that's where all of our help articles are written in wiki form. So you can edit those help articles, you can write your own protocols and save them, and that's really great for new hires. If you wanted like a new hire page or any sort of like protocols or tutorials, you can have a wiki page embedded. Trend cards, which we'll see a little bit here, scorecards. Scorecards was what we were seeing on that controller dashboard. This is what I was talking about with Power BI, being able to embed right from Microsoft Power BI. You can add pivot tables, you can add just a title, you can embed a page, which is where that job site camera would be coming from. Data tables, which would be these inquiries, and then also charts, which we're seeing some of here as well. Okay. So the last dashboard I'd love to take a look at is the project manager one, and this is a little bit more task related. So you could see that there's 28 active projects on this project manager. He's a busy fellow, and that's why he's running a little bit behind here, 47 late project tasks. And you could see, I don't have the API key to connect with weather.com, but we have the ability to connect with weather.com, so we could see the weather for the job site if I went in and had that key. Items to approve. This is where if I have approval set up, a process set up for my project, I can see everything that I need that requires my action right here on the dashboard. Overdue tasks here, my tasks, 21 of them. And the thing is that I can get in and edit this so that it's by different thresholds. So a normal color would be 0. That would mean that we're good. The alarm color is 1. If we up that to 50, we'd probably be in better shape. But you can set this threshold into many different colors, whatever you're used to or think is helpful, and you can use it in a very visual way, tell you if you're doing well or if you're in a little bit of trouble. The last thing I really wanted to show was the ability to look at and identify issues based on these trend charts. So I created this morning before this a project issue trend chart. And this is just looking at the number of issues by month per project, and the projects are color coded. And you can see here that we have a little bit of a project issue spike here in July for this restaurant project. So I can click into this right from here, and I'm going to do that, and let's see what's going on. Okay, so we can easily identify that there's something that is a little bit of a problem here, and it looks like there's a new hire, Bartholomew, that backed a van through the drywall. It looks like he accidentally injured the foreman. He got paint everywhere. He's killing morale. He came into work. It's better when he stays away. So we're taking a look right from our dashboard, and it's identifying that, hey, maybe we need to move Bartholomew into the office and have him be an administrator. Maybe that's where he's gifted. Or maybe tell him that construction just might not be his industry. So all that to say, you can use this dashboard to identify issues and keep your finger on the pulse of your project. Speaking of the pulse of our project, I'm going to take us into a project now, and we'll take a look at this project record. So this project record is really wonderful because you can do so much from it. A lot of other products, you're pretty much just setting up the project in the project record, and you have to do all the other things, job costing and all of that elsewhere through reporting. But in the project screen in Acumatica, you can do so much right from here. So first, let's take a look at the tasks. These are our divisions, and it looks like we're using the older 16 division CSI codes, but this is the way that we really set this up so that you, as you build out these estimates, you would have each of your tasks correspond with the division, and then you build out your estimate or your budget based on these cost codes that then roll up into the project task. Now you can do job costing right from this very screen. I'm looking at all of the detail here, and this is all of the cost codes that are associated with this job. And but what I can do if I want a little bit less of a granular view, I can take a step back and group these by task. And now all of a sudden it sucks up all of these into the divisions that are associated with them, and I can take a look at committed, I can take a look at revised, I can look at actual, and it'll give me variance amounts and performance percentages, and I can identify issues and get ahead of problems just right here from this project record. No need for a job cost review PDF printed for me to scour. I can monitor this right from here. And really what we're seeing here is actually one of our tasks is a little bit over budget. So I want to take a look at what's going on here. And so I'm going to ungroup by task and take a look at and see if we can identify which of these looks like 5 is the problem. Okay, so we go right back over here, and it looks like we're at 3,000% for mobilization. Interesting. So what do we do about that? Do we have to call up the accountant or the AP clerk and try and dig into what's going on and have them look into it for us? No, actually, we can click the cost code right, like I've just done here, and click View Transactions. And now all of a sudden it's going to take us to a screen which shows us that transaction, which is for $450,000, $100,000. I'm going to click into this reference number. We'll see what this is all about. And it turns out that it's a new yacht that someone bought and tried to sneak through in my project. I don't think that's what I meant by mobilization. So I hopefully you get a sense now through my little bit of a ridiculous example how easy it is to investigate what makes up your job cost report. Okay, so another thing is you can do change orders right from here, and we have the ability to create change orders right from change requests and associate multiple change requests to our change order. And don't have to leave the screen, can look at the ones that are existing and create new ones right from here. And then in the commitments tab, we have the ability to create purchase orders and subcontracts right from here as well. So really a game changer. No need to hop around or move around to different modules. You can do all of this stuff right from the project record. We also have the ability for managing compliance here in this additional tab over here. So certificates of liability, insurance, and things of that nature, you can log per project and put that in there, make sure that those things are up to date. And actually, we can configure it so that there's warnings that pop up if compliance is expired, and it won't let AP invoices associated with those vendors be processed until you get updated compliance, which is big. You can also do billing right from here. This revenue budget is basically a schedule of values, and I can get in and change the completed percentage, and all of a sudden what this would do is up the amount that I'm going to be billing on the next invoice. You can see the pending invoice amount is here. All I need to do is run project billing and it'll be done. And then I also have the ability to, once I do create this billing, the pro forma invoice, I can create an AIA billing document right from here as well. No more manually filling out AIA forms. So that's big. And we also have the ability to do both lump sum or T&M, and you can have lump sum and T&M available on the same project, differentiated by task. We also can handle retainage, as you can see here, and have reports for monitoring retainage outstanding, both from an AR and an AP perspective. And we also are able to handle step retainage if step retainage is something that is a need for you guys. So I'm going to leave this, and just before we move on to the project management portion, I don't have time today, it doesn't look like, to look at any of these reports and pull them up, but I do just wanted to scroll and show you guys all of the reports that come out of the box with Acumatica for construction. A couple of big ones that we hear a lot about are the WIP report and the WIP detail report, as well as the construction bonding report. One that would have saved me a bunch of time back when I worked for a design build firm is a substantiated billing report, so that I wouldn't have had to spend hours each week compiling that report when we issue progress billing statements to the banks. Hope you don't sense any bitterness in my voice, but it would have been really nice to have this. But there's tons of reports, and again, we can look into this in a personalized demo for you if that's of interest. Now, this is the last thing I'm going to cover here today before we field questions. And here's my baby submittals, actually. But really, what this is a project management solution that will enable you to manage the processes that it takes to complete your project. And all of these really interact with each other very well. Like, you can create a RFI right from a drawing log. You can create a change request right from a project issue. But what I want to do today is, since we have limited time, I'm only going to show you a daily field report, because there's so much that can happen here in this daily field report. Now, we can email it right from here, and I can enter employee time on this daily field report. I can associate change requests and change orders to this daily field report. I can log what subcontractors showed up on site. I can create project issues and associate those with this daily field report, photo logs, notes for what happened today, equipment that was used on site here, log the weather that we experienced on site here, also log the weather the visitors that were on site that came to check out progress, employee expenses, and also approvals. So you can see there's a pretty robust daily field report capability here, and it's really helpful stuff to have this. And you can even set up like an automated schedule so that you have these sent out automatically, periodically to people that would need to see them. So that's really, I think, all that we have time for here with Acumatica today. And so now I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to see if we had received any questions while I was blazing through that presentation, and answer the questions that you all have for me.
Thanks, Mike. We actually do have a few questions that have come in.
Great.
So first, I see that you can do change orders from the project screen, but how about subcontracting change orders? Can Acumatica handle that?
Great question. Yeah, so Acumatica is able to handle subcontractor changes. That's really within that same change order screen. I would just have to pull up that change order, create a new one, and there's a tab for subcontract change orders. So great question. Thanks.
Okay, looks like we have another one. Do you have any way built into the system to notify a project manager that the status of their RFI changed?
Yeah, and actually not just RFIs either. I mean, really anything within the system. There's a notification feature within Acumatica that will essentially, based on any trigger, any type of data change that happens in the system, it'll trigger a notification that could be an email or a push notification or a text that'll be sent to whoever you identify it needs to be sent to with whatever information is pertinent. And that's something that we could set up with our consultants as we move towards implementing, and show you really how to do that so you can run with it yourself.
Thank you. So I'm going to give it just a couple more seconds to see if anyone else has questions. And just as a reminder, everyone, if you do have a question, just look for the questions tab in your GoToWebinar pod and just enter it right into there, and then we'll get notified and I can let Mike know. So let's see if anyone else has questions. I don't see any coming in. But also, just as a reminder for everyone who's on with us today, We do have 2 handouts in the handouts tab of your GoToWebinar pod. The first handout we have is on our connected construction white paper. This will give you additional insight on how Acumatica helps you eliminate silos, improves collaboration, and increases project success specific to construction. And we also have our Acumatica COVID-19 checklist for contractors. And obviously this will help you develop a plan of action to make sure that your teams, both on the job site and in the back office, are safe while also remaining productive during the pandemic. So if you're interested, please feel free to download those handouts. And no questions have come in. So I will just leave it there, and I hope everyone stays safe during this pandemic, and we hope that you have learned something new today. And thanks, Mike, for all that great information.
Thanks, guys.